out for the count. As usual on his couch. The couch potato. So, hello. Today I'd like to look at this, which is a repair manual, but it's a Polish one. So, naprawa samochodów means car repair manual sort of thing. And this is for an iconic car, which is, it was actually a Fiat, but it was made by Polski Fiat. They had a branch of these manufacturers in Poland. There were a few cars around. There was a Trabant, which was made in Eastern Germany. And there was the Fiat series. Well, there were two of them sort of thing. There was the Serena, which was another Polish manufacturer, FSO, and the sort of like the notorious FSO Polonez, which was Jeremy Clarkson did a review of it. I'll probably have to leave that in the prescription box below, because it's actually rather amusing, because Jeremy doesn't mix his words, and he didn't like the car in the world. But this is a little icon. It's known in Polish as a maluch, and maluch means little one. So, excuse me, clear your throat, man. It's like an elephant clearing its trunk, isn't it? But ultimately, they had a lot of jokes ribbed about these cars, that they, you know, like why do they have electric rear windscreens, you know, or rear windows, heated rear windows? And the answer was so that you could keep your hands warm when you were push starting it, you know. All these sorts of jokes. So spiszczyści means contents, and so obviously it's in Polish, so I won't pause too long, because unless people are, what are you doing there? It's coming over it, isn't he? He says that it's the word Polish, Dad. He says, as soon as I see Polish, I think of kielbasa sausages and stuff, and sausages and stuff that I can eat. So anyway, the engine was in the back. It was in the rear of the vehicle, and it had the spare tyre under the front, and a sort of a very loosely descripted storage space. You couldn't get much in there, probably a shoebox full of your best possessions sort of thing, you know. But they were clever little cars, although terrifically unstable, especially in the winter, which was bizarre really, because I mean Poland has a strong winter. I remember once I was driving along, and this car, this little Fiat 126, came out of a turning, and it kind of started zigzagging on the ice, and then it went down into a ditch, and of course I feared the worst and thought, my God, there's probably Mum, Dad and the kids in there, you know. And so I rather foolishly, because it was upside down at this point, well yeah, see how easy they I'm joking, but no, it was upside down at this point. There was petrol pouring out of the damn tank, you know, out of the petrol filler cap. So that's the engine, that's the little engine it had. 650, I think it's, you know, I've had bigger motorcycle engines. Silnik means engine. And ultimately, yeah, I foolishly ran in there and banged on the window, and the doors were locked, and it was down in a ditch as well, as I say. And luckily it was so light, I actually was, being a biggish bloke, I could push the darn thing, you know, to a point where I could open it. And I couldn't speak a word of Polish then. So I yelled to my wife, you know, tell them to turn the ignition off, you know, because it had the lights on and the ignition on, and I feared an explosion. And anyway, and I basically eventually got this person inside, who was a young girl. She was probably in her early 20s. Terror written across written across her face for obvious reasons. And anyway, I kind of said, like, come on, via my ex-wife, you know, I said, come on, love, we've got to get out of here, there's petrol everywhere. So she kind of ran out, but she couldn't get up the bank. So I pushed her on the bum. She kind of looked at me to say, what are you doing? And I said, it's all part of the rescue, love, innit? It's all part of the rescue programme. But yeah, there you go. One of the funniest moments of my life, not. But no, they were funny little engines, these things. A friend of mine actually had one in England, and it used to be affectionately known as the Fiat fartbox. Mainly down to the noise they made when they started up. But no, they were good little cars. If you want economy, you know, brilliant. The trouble is nowadays, of course, the Poles couldn't wait to get rid of them in the early 2000s when they became part of the EU, and suddenly they had access to all these non-Central European cars, let's put it that way. And they just went mad and bought Audi, BMW, you know, and all these old fartbox things just got chucked. I remember doing that, the valve stems, cleaning up the valve heads. Yeah, you see, it's good, it's all good, baby, it's all good. But this is a twin-cylinder little fartbox engine. But I mean, as I say, I've had a bigger motorbike than that. I had a BMW R80, which was an 800cc. So I mean, imagine an 800cc on a motorcycle. It pretty much shifts. So a little 650 in a car, not so fast. But you know, and I've been in one many times because a neighbour had one. My ex-wife's neighbour had one. I could hardly get into it. I was literally sat there with my knees under my chin, you know, and I'm not joking either. I'm sort of 6 foot, well, 3 now, and ultimately I just thought, nah. And the funny thing was that he used to start it with a screwdriver because the ignition system had gone off. When I mean gone off, I mean what I mean by that is it had broken, and so he used to sort of arc, you know, the starter motor with the with the ignition coil using a screwdriver, and you could see he was getting sort of minor electrocution whilst he was doing it. But, yeah, they were good cars. As I say, there were a few different models. The 125 Fiat was slightly larger. I don't know. Can I? I don't know. Have I got time? Because the trouble with me is I've got to find the darn thing. Should have researched it a little bit more, shouldn't I? But I had a book. I don't know if I can't find it quickly, I won't bother. But no, I probably can't find it. It's gone. It's all gone, baby. It's all gone. Sorry. I should have got that out. I should have thought about that and got it out. But there's a book. You'll have to take my word for it. There's a book called We Speak Polish. And it's like an early English to Polish for children at school, you know, learning how to speak English. And one of the most hilarious moments of that book is it's explaining, you know, it's just setting up here and there sort of situations. And one of them says, my father owns a Fiat 125 because it is much more comfortable than the 126. Yeah, right. The seats were awful. I don't know what comfort was in communist Poland, but it certainly wasn't what I know. It certainly wasn't the same. You know, what does comfort mean? I don't know. Another frog in the throat. Excuse me. I apologise. But so there you go. All the bits and bobs that you need to strip and it's like a Haynes manual. This for the Fiat fartbox. It's a wonderful book in actual fact. You can't get them anymore. They used to be 10 a penny, these things, and mine's immaculate. There's no greasy fingerprints. Well, I never owned the car, you see. I love the idea of having one, as did my ex-wife for a long time. But the trouble is, when you crash these darn things, the last thing that goes through your mind is your asshole. You know, they haven't got any crumple zones or anything like that. You're the crumple zone, you know, that's about it. But anyway, I hope you find this of some interest. I won't go on too long because I know I can ramble on like a stream burbling down a valley, you know. But oh, they had leaf spring suspension, very, very sort of primitive, but you know, cracking. Well, they had what they had, you know. And the Trabant is even more interesting. That's what it looked like from the front. The Trabant is even more interesting because that was actually made out of fiberglass and cardboard. I think only the monocoque chassis had metal in it. All the rest was just compressed cardboard, spray painted. In fact, I'll leave you a funny link below to a bloke, you know, setting up a Trabant in the factory as well, because that's very that's mirth. I don't know. Yeah, drum brakes, you know. Oh dear. And when that thing leaked, the old brake slave, it's called. when that leaked a bit of oil, of course the oil gets on the pads. So ain't no stopping me now. Anyway, look at Jimmy, he's out for the count. All the very best wishes to you all, as always. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you've got this far, I really appreciate it. Cheers.